on everyone, Gilman with Live Wealthy back with our weekly Apple update video where we take a look at how Apple stock traded this past week, some key support and resistance levels to look at, and then based on that what the future for the Apple stock could look like. So real quick, if you enjoyed these, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. I try to do daily Apple update videos as well as a weekly Apple update video. So wasting no time, let's get right into it. Let me hit the 1-day chart. And we saw, just to kind of recap, Friday, we fell over 5%, 5.6%, which was $6.46. And then we were down another 32 basis points after hours, which is 35 cents. So what happened this week, right? This week was a pretty crazy week. If we take a look at, my watch list here, and just not really my actual watch list, but just some stocks that I like to take a look at to compare how Apple is going to do, right? Whether it's NASDAQ going from 11,500 to 10,800, or it's the Dow going from the 280s to the low 260s and then in the mid 260s, so falling, more than 1,500 points, 1,800 points almost this week. Or it's the S&P, which was again at the beginning of the week in the 345s. Going all the way to 327. So not a great week for stocks overall, the general markets, and especially tech stocks. We saw 2 days where the Dow fell 600-700 points, and then Wednesday or Thursday, one of those days, it fell another 900 points. So not a great week for stocks in general. The reason I point that out is to say that, it's not just Apple, it's the entire market with the uncertainty of everything going around. Now, we started the week, so 1026 was the start of the week. We pushed up, we knew that we were going to have earnings, and then we sold off into the 113s. Then we recovered in the 114s. This is all after hours. And then that day we pushed up, we hit 117s. Which we had kind of talked about in that video. Remember when 117s were kind of hey, we're going to push up towards it. And then we sold off after hours. We sold off pretty big. And then came Wednesday, we had, just a kind of sideways day between 112 and 113. Not too much action, a lot of selling off at the beginning. And then came Thursday. So a lot of this selling off a little bit had to do with the stimulus, coronavirus increases, and then now we're approaching the presidential election. Thursday, as we're about to go into earnings, right, it pushes up. We sort of expected it. We were expecting the whole week to be great, but we got that Thursday. So Thursday we pushed up from the 113s all the way to 116s, high 116s, getting close to that 117 mark that we were sort of talking about. And then after hours, we sold off hard. I was making a video live. It was really weird. I was making it. We were trading after hours in the 115s. Boom, all of a sudden we're in the 112s, 111, 110. I think we even hit 109, yeah. And then we opened Friday and then we kind of sold off from there. Bad week overall, not a typical week, but a lot of it has to do less with technicals and Apple and more to do with the overall market. Now, let's take a look at kind of the drawings we had before. Actually, let me go on the daily chart before I do that. And then let's do the drawings that we've sort of been looking at. So just to kind of recap, right, we were making this lower low, lower high, and then come like last week of September, we were making higher highs, higher lows, and then we started this lower high making pattern that we broke for a day, right, that Thursday, but then we pushed down again on Friday. So before we were looking at these 117, 119, and 121 when we were up here. Sure enough, we got some rejection right there. But now that those levels are sort of far off, let's take a look at what, now we can look at for the Apple stock. I just want to remind you guys that I am long. I am invested in Apple, right? I still think it's a bullish stock. I think this is all having to do, again, more with not the company, not Apple, right? But the overall sort of uncertainty that we're in. So now we're at the level where the low of the day was 107.72. Going back all the way to September 25th, we say that the low for this candle is 107.67, as you'll see right there. So 107.67. The next, I think, if we were to keep dropping, right? First of all, I think these are all technicals, and Apple is a strong stock, so it could find support before this. But we could drop all the way down to the 105s. As we see, the low of this day was 105, and then the low before that was 103. So those are kind of two key levels to look at. And then we've also got good support in the EMA, the 89 EMA at 108.68, which is where we are now. So I think what's key for tomorrow is seeing if we can hold this 89 EMA, right? I'm not saying Apple's going to rise, right? But whether it could just hold that EMA. I would like to see the stock push towards this 113 kind of support point that we had and see if we could get above it again. It might be resistance at this point since we're under it, but I would like to see us recapture that. I'm not personally banking on that happening necessarily Monday, right? I would be super surprised if we were to push up big tomorrow, especially since the uncertain event is on Tuesday, being the election. It's just something to keep in mind. We got support there, and then 105, 103 if we were to fall. It could go beyond that. It could never touch those points. Again, those are just levels to look for. Pushing up, like I said, right, our high point for today that we got rejected at was 111.99. So that would be the next point. And then we've got the 113 mark that I think we could see some consolidation around. And then after that, you know, it could be the EMAs 55 being at 113.35 and 8 EMA being at 113.89. Same with the moving averages, they're way up there, 116s, 117. We've got the 200-day moving average coming in at $90, which should hold as crazy support, in my opinion, again, if we were to drop down all the way to 90. I hope not, but if we do, I'm probably going to be buying some shares at that point. So yeah, that's currently my plan, is to kind of wait and see, right? And I know that that's not what a lot of people want to hear. They want to know, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? I want to be honest with you and tell you that this is one of those days, this is one of those weeks where it might be better to not necessarily, you know, want to be involved if you don't feel comfortable. I don't feel super comfortable, right? I don't know what the outcome of the election is going to be, right? Europe is having crazy rise in cases, and a lot of people have said we're typically a few weeks behind them. So if we have seen the rise in cases, but if we see that convert into deaths, again, fear across the market. And then the last thing being, if this election goes and there's a clear winner, great. If there's not a clear winner, right? Uncertainty for days, weeks, even a month or two, which could be terrible, right? So just something to keep in mind as you trade this week. If you feel comfortable and you've got a sense of direction, great. If you don't, you know, let's just see what happens, right? You don't have to be involved, and maybe you could learn, take some lessons, whatever it may be. And then some positive news that we could have coming is the vaccine news, which Pfizer is, I think, pretty close, they've said. So we'll hear about that in a few weeks or a month, which should be a good boost for the stock market. And then we've got the stimulus, which is now definitely going to happen after the election. So depending on who gets elected, I think we'll kind of see you know, how that plays out, if House and Senate are the same majority, or if they're different majorities, or who wants what, and how they can negotiate that out. So those are two, stimulus and vaccine, I think are great stimuluses for the market in the long term. But I think before that, we have to get through the election, and hopefully, you know, there is some sort of clear winner and we can have that behind us rather than have it linger on for a while, and we can get more back to the technicals rather than, you know, these market events that have been happening and kind of overtaking anything. You know, we saw Apple beat earnings, Amazon beat earnings, and the next day they fell. So the market has crazy expectations right now. There's a lot of uncertainty, which is causing people to sell off and not necessarily participate in the market. Understandably, there's just a lot of uncertainty. So hope you guys enjoyed. I know that, you know, typically it's more, you know, analysis based and less market based, but I feel like this week is one of those weeks where I'm more looking at what the market is doing. Market being our like news, our world, what's happening in the world around us, necessarily more so than what's going on with Apple stock in general. Because I think that has a heavier weighting than any technical analysis that I could do with Apple this week. But again, to each their own. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, drop that like button, subscribe to my channel. I try to do these videos pretty often. And hope you guys are all having an amazing weekend so far. Hope we have a better week this week than last week. I know a lot of us had a pretty bad week last week. So yeah, drop it in the comment section below if you want to talk about anything. Hope you guys are all having an amazing weekend. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day. And until next time.